Believe it or not, this game very well might be the best football simulation on the market today.
First down.
This is Pro Strategy Football, one of the most underrated football games out there. While it might not look like much at first, it's an absolutely fantastic coaching experience, and this is the sort of game that you really need to try. And it seriously amazes me that more people don't know about this game.
Incomplete. Second down.
But the thing is, before I tell you guys about what Pro Strategy Football is, how the game works and stuff like that, I really do need to talk a little bit about the story behind games like this in general. You see, the thing is, these days, in general, football sims are divided up between the arcade style games and the actual simulation games. Of course, it wasn't always this way. So as many of you guys know, the world of football games started out with the simulation board games. That was games like APBA Football, games that were revolutionary in their own time since they provided realistic results and individual player performances. And the truth is that there still is a large number of football fans out there who swear by good old games like Stratomatic. Though things have obviously changed over the years, the basic idea behind these games has stayed more or less the same. Now, we've got to start with games like that, the old board games, because the truth is that even a lot of the modern arcade games are originally based on games like Stratomatic Football. You see, the thing is that fans of the sport have always been interested in recreating seasons and playing through what-if scenarios and stuff like that. And, well, the thing is that if every game were to play like NFL Blitz or whatever, it would get old after a little while. While it wasn't actually the first computer-based football sim, XOR's NFL Challenge was certainly the most significant. It might not look like much to you today, but this game was really deep and allowed for a lot of different gameplay strategies and versatility. And believe it or not, the chalkboard screen is actually better than some of the modern computer-based football sims. Actually, the internal logic behind the old John Madden games has a lot in common with games like Stratomatic. Trip Hawkins of EA Sports was a Stratomatic fan, and he wanted to make a fully realistic football sim, not just an arcade game. So in other words, if you go back far enough, you'll notice that there actually wasn't the split between the simulation games and the arcade games. But that split did grow over time. Now, the one way you can really tell which kind of game fits under which category is to look at the most obvious thing, which is the graphics. For the last 25 years or more, the hallmark of the arcade-style games has always been this excellent graphical presentation. These games are over 20 years old now, and yet they are just as graphically satisfying today as they were back then. Compare that with a more modern game like Action PC Football, and the difference is almost shocking. Even if you play Action PC with the chalkboard animations turned on, it's nothing even close to where the arcade games are today. And that's precisely the reason why Pro Strategy Football is so impressive. At least that's why it's so impressive to me. Now, the graphics in this game are definitely not perfect. It's got kind of this real janky feel to it. And in fact, it doesn't even have the really smooth quality that even the most basic NES football games have. Think of Tecmo Super Bowl, which I keep talking about. But that's not to say that Pro Strategy Football is a bad game. I mean, there is something odd about the way that kickoffs work, for example. The ball doesn't really travel right. But at least the player animations are believable. And yeah, it would be really cool to have a game like Pro Strategy Football with the graphics engine of Legend Bowl, for example. But even with the somewhat flat presentation, Pro Strategy Football really is an amazing game.
It's caught. Second down.
Now, there is something that I should address here. So there are some of you out there who might criticize this game by pointing out that it's really sort of like a graphics engine that's pasted on top of the simulation. This is actually really common in simulation games. You see, when you're making an arcade-style game that focuses on the in-game physics, the game engine inside the game, under the hood, is going to work a lot different than when you're focusing on statistical accuracy first. So I'll show you an example, and for this I'll use the most obvious type of example, which is a baseball game. So if you look at a game like RBI Baseball, you're looking at a game that is heavily focused on the physics engine. While there are some calculations that happen under the surface, the truth is that the results of each play are centered around the in-game physics. The numbers basically just say how far the ball goes and where. Meanwhile, games like Out of the Park Baseball calculate the results of each play first and then show it to you afterwards. If you're watching the whole game play out, you're not actually watching the players play, it's more like a pantomime. Now, of course, what I would really like is if OOTP would cut out the 3D garbage and just stick with the RBI baseball graphics, which were already pretty good, at least in my opinion. Anyway, regardless, this overall concept is actually very common for these sim games or for these games where you aren't actually controlling the players. The thing is that in most of these games, the underlying game engine is performing all of the calculations before every play takes place. And then after the fact, the graphical engine will show you what happened. Now, the reason for this, of course, is obvious. It's because the game does not have to play things out in real time because you as the player aren't actually controlling the players, right? You're acting as the coach watching from the sidelines. Football Manager, remember this is the other football, it's probably the best known example of this. Even though it's going to look to you like you're watching the players in real time, the truth is that the result is determined as soon as the game starts. The result does change a bit as the game goes on and as your circumstances change, but it's by and large a scripted game because of this. And so when you see people on the Steam forums criticize Pro Strategy Football every once in a while for using the number crunching sim engine, don't let it get to you. As the creator himself correctly notes, making a strategic game the way that he designed it is the easiest and the most effective way to create something that sports sim fans really want to play. Now, it might seem to you guys like I'm really making a mountain out of a molehill here, but the thing is that you've really got to understand the underlying sim nature of the game. You have to know that it's not looking at the weight of your linemen or something like that. And when you're looking at how play calling works in Pro Strategy Football, understanding this basic concept will help you understand why the system is the way that it is. So you've got two different types of play calling systems in this game. The first is the simple play calling system where you just say what kind of play you want to run and the computer handles the rest. It works well, though it also means that a lot of the strategy is missing. That is also similar to the way that the game Second and 10 works, where you call a play by choosing a formation and clicking on the person who you want to give the ball to. Of course, Second and 10 is entirely text-based. This means that you don't have the same exciting and dramatic graphical engine. And by the way, Second and 10 is actually a game that I don't own yet. I've got that really high up on my list of games to get into review here. I'm going to have to give it a more fitting review later on, though I can't tell you right now what my opinion is of the game that I haven't played yet. Now, for most of us, a simplified play calling system just isn't going to do the trick. And so Pro Strategy Football also gives us what it calls the advanced play calling system, which is honestly, at least for me, where this game becomes really, really addictive. Unlike games that you might be used to, this game really just gives you simple things to choose from. For example, the sort of shift you want to use for your defensive line. The cool thing, of course, is that you can see your players do what you told them to do on defense. Sometimes you guess right and sometimes you guess wrong. But it's the offensive play calling system where Pro Strategy Football really shines. While it doesn't have quite as many formations as some other games, there are more than enough here to keep the defense guessing. And in the advanced play calling mode, you've got a lot of other plays and options to choose from on offense. Plus, when you finally guess right and you get that big gain that you really needed, it feels like you've really accomplished something. Anyway, play calling in this game is not like a lot of the modern video games where, you choose the play diagram and that's the play that you call. If you really want to see that in a simulation game, you need to try 4th Street Football. I've made a video about that game before. It's a totally different concept. It's based around matchups and stuff like that. But the problem, of course, is that even the computer version of 4th Street Football doesn't have the animation. That's the thing that really makes Pro Strategy Football shine, and it's helpful for YouTubers that want to show you what's happening without showing you a bunch of graphs or numbers or boring things like that. Anyway, I wanted to give this game a really good test run. I didn't have a lot of time, so I set up a simple exhibition to sort of start things off, which is what we're going to look at here. So the cool thing is that the modders have created every single season in NFL history for this game, and it's really easy to download these and install them. The real key to enjoying Pro Strategy Football is to browse around on the Steam discussion community, which is where you'll find the links to all the mods, plus instructions on how to install them. Now, to congratulate you for making it this far in the video, I'm going to tell you guys kind of a channel secret. So the next big project in this channel is going to be with Tecmo Super Bowl, and it's going to involve the famous NFL strike season, which was 1982. And I've decided that I'm going to coach the good old Eric Coryell San Diego Chargers for obvious reasons. So yeah, at some point in time in the coming weeks, you're going to see a video about this project once I actually, finish playing the games. The Tecmo Super Bowl 1982 ROM honestly is really well made, though the first game was just a little bit too easy. I mean, I know that Dan Fouts could throw, but scoring a touchdown on the first play from scrimmage after a kickoff is a little bit extreme. But then again, maybe I know a little bit too much about how Tecmo Super Bowl works. Anyway, so that's kind of what it looked like in Tecmo Super Bowl. Now, you need to know that the Chargers did play Denver in real life for the first game of the 1982 season, and of course the Tecmo Super Bowl ROM follows the original schedule. The one that I'm using has all 16 games. We're going to pretend that the strike never happened. Now, in real life, this first game of the season was actually really close in the first half. The Chargers then pulled away in the second half. Meanwhile, in my Tecmo Super Bowl version, it was a total blowout. So I was curious to see what would happen between these two teams in Pro Strategy Football, but because I'm not certain that I want to play this season using this game, I just set up this exhibition. We'll probably do a totally different season later on using this game. As soon as I selected the Broncos as the home team, Pro Strategy Football randomly decided that this was going to be a snow game. The snow didn't really hurt us much at all, however, and we jumped out to a 10-0 lead early in the first quarter.
It's good!
And when we scored another unanswered touchdown just minutes later, I was worried that this game would turn out to be unrealistic after all.
It's caught!
Touchdown!
Now, honestly, I think part of the reason why I was able to have so much success is because the game is just too easy with the basic play calling mode. You don't really think about anything. It's sort of like the sitting on the couch quarterback type thing. You sit there, watch on TV, and you're like, no, you should have passed it to this guy instead. I mean, the way that it works is you're like, okay, I want to choose a run or a pass. Then you choose the guy that you want, and then the computer sort of makes it work from there. It's like you're not really playing the game. It's just like you're kind of choosing a general strategy, and then you're letting the players on the field dictate exactly what's going to happen to make the boss happy. Anyway, the Chargers in those days weren't exactly known for defense, and so we started to give up points. Minutes after that touchdown, I made the mistake of calling for this long pass.
Interception!
Despite looking for the short pass, our defense was unable to prevent them from walking the ball over the top of us, and we suddenly had a ball game on our hands. And then, with only minutes left to go in the first half, we gave up this really frustrating long pass.
It's caught!
In what felt like seconds, the Broncos had stormed back to take the lead 21-14.
Touchdown!
Now, the second half is where I decided to switch over to the advanced play calling mode, right? I was a sucker and I fell for what the company says, which is, oh, at the beginning you should always use the basic play calling mode. It's not bad, don't get me wrong, but it really is the advanced mode where the game really shines. I recommend, in fact, that you use that even if you're a beginner to this game. As long as you understand football, you know how plays are called and what's generally happening, you'll pick up on it in no time. And like I said, this is where Pro Strategy Football really becomes addictive. In the advanced play calling mode, you can choose a ton of different things. You can even choose your primary receiver and the route that you want him to run. When you peel off a big gain in this mode, it really feels good.
It's caught!
And of course, you can always ask the computer for advice, though the computer will usually give you something that might not be all that helpful. So you can also ask the computer to call the play for you. It's almost like the computer's like your offensive or defensive coordinator. In fact, I've often thought that this is what Action PC Football could use. Maybe not just saying, oh, computer, call the play, because I think you can do that in Action, but rather having a button where you can say, give me some help, or let me know what I should be focusing on, or whatever. You see, the real nice thing about Pro Strategy Football is that it doesn't overwhelm you with play calling options. The overall effect is that you really do have to be careful when you think about what it is that you want to do. You want to make sure that you're not too predictable, and you have to think a lot about what it is the other team is likely to do. Anyway, we managed to score again at the very end of the third quarter to go up by 3 points.
Touchdown!
The Broncos answered right away, though, scoring a quick touchdown to put us on our back heels.
Touchdown!
And then, with about 10 minutes left, Rolf Benirschke attempted this crazy 50-yard field goal in the snow. I'm not sure how, but he was able to make it. So now with about 10 minutes left to go, we had a 1-point game. And of course, this is where play calling became really, really intense. The Chargers didn't have the best defense in the world, of course, but we were able to get to them.
Fourth down.
That forced a punt that gave us a chance to drive the field and use up the clock. Of course, some of our play calls weren't exactly the best calls in the world.
Second down.
So the thing is that it's not necessarily as easy as it looks. You're trying to look for an advantage. To find that advantage, you really have to scout the other team. You have to get to know its personnel, right? In that sense, this game is very similar to 4th Street football. The more time that you spend really looking at the other team and scouting them, the better you are at finding their weakness and being able to push yourself towards victory. In that sense, if you really think about it, the game's actually really realistic. Anyway, the key play of this game was this quarterback sneak I called for on 3rd and 2. Fouts was not a great runner, but he did the job here.
First down.
And he also drew a personal foul on the end of it, giving us great field position. But of course, victory for us was not certain, not by a long shot. I mean, as is always the case in football, anything could happen. This 3rd down play wound up just short of the 1st down marker, and the penalty was bad news.
It's caught.
4th down. There's a penalty on the
Holding
play.
put us back to the 17-yard line. But Fouts connected with Wes Chandler on this pass, leading to that crucial go-ahead touchdown.
It's caught.
Touchdown!
And this huge interception with less than 2 minutes remaining ensured that we would win this game.
Interception.
Anyway, this was an absolutely crazy, crazy game to play. We wound up with almost 500 yards of total offense, including 343 passing yards. Anyway, it was a lot of fun. I highly recommend playing Pro Strategy Football if you haven't yet. Even if you're in the arcade game crowd, you're a Madden player or whatever, give this game a try. It's not perfect. The graphics do look kind of cheesy, but it's an awesome game. When you really get into calling these plays, you're going to stop playing the arcade games. Now, as for me, I am going to do a major project with this game in the near future, so stay tuned for that and you'll see what happens.